Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Assalamu alaikum. Ariana, are you online?
Yes, I am online, connected.
Do you have your camera?
Do you know if anyone else from Kajaani University is joining the meeting?
So good afternoon, dear participants. So I'm Mahmoud Kurov, the project manager of the National Erasmus Office in Uzbekistan. So I will be the technical manager during this whole session. So if you have any question or you would like to leave any request, please write in the chat box, or you can also using the icon in the below the Zoom session, just raise your hand. So after the parts, we will give you access to unmute yourself, and then you can ask a question. So we'll start in a couple of minutes.
Yeah, fine.
I see that on the side of the European Commission, we have our colleagues. I see Kremena already connected. I see Zora, so we maybe will be starting with the presentation shortly. Colleagues, I see that we have 29 participants and this number is not growing for the time being, so I suggest we get started. Thank you so much for everyone joining today's meeting. It will be a meeting dedicated to the presentation of the opportunities of research and innovation under the Horizon Europe program. We'll have a presentation by Kremena Mileva on the opportunities under the Horizon Europe program. I hope it will be useful for you. This information session can be then followed up by the questions and more explanation. So I will give the floor to Kremena now to start her presentation.
Do you hear me? Because I saw I was generally muted.
Yes, it's excellent. We can.
Thank you very much, Mariana. So my name is Kremena Mileva, and I work in the European Commission, Directorate General for Research and Innovation. I'm responsible for the international cooperation with Central Asia, Mongolia, and Israel, among other things. And today I would present to you Horizon, the international cooperation part of Horizon Europe. I will just share my screen now with the slides I prepared. Just a second. Colleagues, I'm muted when I start sharing the presentation. I don't know why. I will try again. Now, share screen. Do you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you, and I can also see your screen, your presentation.
Okay, thank you. So let's continue then. First of all, maybe to explain briefly what international cooperation means according to our principles. International cooperation means cooperation with countries which are not EU member states or not associated countries. I will briefly explain later on what associated country means. But for now, this is enough perhaps to keep in mind. So, for example, cooperation with Finland and Greece is not an international cooperation, but cooperation with Finland and Uzbekistan, it's counted as international cooperation. Now, our international cooperation is guided by the recent, not anymore so recent, but the communication we adopted in 2021 on a global approach to research and innovation. The global approach actually entails to this four global approach to research and innovation is covering the entire world. And in this presentation, I will speak about first this. Secondly, perhaps more importantly, I will explain about the access to funding and what targeted international cooperation actions mean under Horizon Europe. I will also explain our approach to the safeguarding the European Union interest. And in the end, I will also mention briefly about the novelties we have in our research and innovation approach and program. Now, what global approach means? As I said, we adopted this act in 2021, a little bit after the adoption of the implementation, when the implementation started of Horizon Europe regulation. The idea behind the global approach to research and innovation is to preserve openness in research and innovation with, while promoting a level playing field and reciprocity. All this enveloped under the fundamental values in research and innovation. Second part of our global approach is strengthening multilateral partnerships so that we can count on delivering new solutions to the global challenges like green, digital, health, and innovation challenges. How we aim for this to be achieved? So we have several approaches. First of all, to modulate the bilateral cooperation, all in line with our European interests and values, and the so-called EU open strategic autonomy. So, which the bottom line is as open as necessary. The second part is to accelerate the sustainable and inclusive development within our cooperation with the low and middle income countries, according to the qualifications of the World Bank. And the third part is using the Team Europe approach, which combines actions by the EU, its financial institutions, and also the member states. The guiding principles of our international cooperation is, first of all, openness. As I already mentioned, we are committed to open research. Secondly, we very much count on the fundamental values and principles in research, which those values and principles are the gender equality, Also, um, open research, as I already said, and just a second. And also, do you hear me? Okay. Secondly, third part of our international cooperation guiding principles is pursuit of level playing field and reciprocity. What does this mean? This means that we are open and we accept researchers and research entities from all over the world to participate in our programs, but we expect the same openness on behalf of the countries and the institutions those researchers and research institutions come from. And then, of course, the last part is the idea is to pull the global efforts in research and innovation to tackle global challenges. Together, we can be stronger. That's the idea. Now, uh, to come more specifically to our research Horizon Europe program, it currently consists of the so-called three pillars. You see here the first pillar is concentrated mainly on individual researchers. And my colleague Elena will speak later on about more about that, and will focus on European Research Council. Unfortunately, today we couldn't. We don't have the colleagues who can explain a bit more on Marie Curie actions, Sklodowska Curie actions, but maybe next time. The third pillar is more specific, and it focuses on the European Innovation Council and innovation ecosystems. The second pillar, where I'm actually working, is organized around collaborative research, which means that here we don't focus on individual researchers, but rather on consortium of researchers and research entities, which can be private entities or universities or government funded research institutions. The second pillar is organized around the so-called clusters. I will also speak about those a bit later, but you can see they are organized around six big teams. Now, as I already mentioned, there our program is open to the world. There are two ways which we kind of implement this openness. The first way is openness by default, meaning that we are open to almost all countries' participation, and any consortium can include third country partners, not from one country, but from unlimited number of countries, let's say. And the approach is also non-discriminatory because researchers and innovators of any nationality can apply for grants. The second approach to openness is the association to the program. Now, currently, there are 19 associated countries, and the principle we use to associate is mainly the countries which are either planning to accede to the European Union or neighboring countries, with a few exceptions you see on the list. But I'm not going to talk about this now because it doesn't concern Uzbekistan. Next thing I'm going to talk about is the access to Horizon Europe funding, which is mainly what would be interesting for you. Automatically eligible for funding, called beneficiaries, are entities coming from low and middle income countries and countries associated to Horizon Europe. Now Uzbekistan is under this category, and all entities coming from those countries, including Uzbekistan, are eligible for full funding. Now there are certain non-associated third countries which are not eligible for funding. Those are on basically either, like for example Brazil or United States, are not eligible for funding. Of course, there are exceptions, but they're looked at on case-per-case basis, and are specifically mentioned in each topic or call, which require participation of those countries and participants from those countries will be funded. But let's say the overall principle are they come with their own funding, not the case of Uzbekistan, as I said. There are also other ways to participate, like co-funding mechanisms, which are kind of in between association and non-association. Those mechanisms can be set between, for example, could be Uzbekistan and the European Union within the Horizon Europe program. And the countries will be funding their own researchers for specific calls. But this, as I said, is a little bit more complicated. Now, here there is a map for the third countries automatically eligible for funding. You see Uzbekistan is there, and basically almost all more than half of the world countries are eligible. Now, how the whole thing is done. Participation is done by applying for different calls depending on the interest as a consortium. Consortium should be composed by at least 3 entities, research entities, coming from 3 different states. Now, at least one of these entities must be from a EU member state, and at least 2 other independent legal entities, each should come either in a different from a different member state or associated country. So this is the minimum requirement, and then after that, there is no limit to how many participants can be included in the consortium. Of course, all depends on the subject, on the interest, what can you contribute to the research topic or to the research project, and so on. Now, I think I'm missing a slide, but okay. Now you see here the latest data on the participation of our program of all 5 Central Asian states. Uzbekistan actually is doing pretty well compared to the others, and especially doing well in Marie Curie actions for the individual researchers. However, we are hoping to increase these numbers already this year. You see the difference in the numbers on the left and the right side of the columns because the assigned grants are usually less than participation because in some of the grants more than one Uzbek entity participate. That's why there are more and the number is higher. Now, I mentioned in the beginning that we also have the so-called targeted international cooperation actions, which is done in several ways. There is the so-called flagging. In the case of Uzbekistan, this is not too relevant because we flag, for example, strategic areas like, I don't know, Africa in this case, like geographical areas. Sometimes we flag the multilateral initiatives. For example, we have a specific initiative for the Mediterranean. It's also flagged. But when you start looking for specific calls, you will see what I mean, how the flagging works. And sometimes, in very exceptional cases, we put flags for collaboration with key partners, like specific country. But as I said, this is very exceptional. However, this should not discourage you when you do your search, because flagging doesn't mean that other countries cannot participate. This simply means that we put flag for the topic to be more visible for those countries or like initiatives, like I said, Mediterranean, to be more visible. So basically, you shouldn't, when you do your search, you shouldn't look per country, in this case Uzbekistan, but you should look per topic, what you're interested in. And if I will come to that again, just shortly now, and if the topic is restricted for international participation, it will explicitly say so. If it's not, then it's fully open for you to get into it. Now, I took the liberty to make a little list what could be open for, like, not open, but what could be, let's say, of specific interest to researchers from Uzbekistan. You saw in the beginning that our program, our collaborative research part of the program is organized around 5 clusters. And those clusters, the first cluster health, and sorry, 6 clusters, and the 6th cluster food is absolutely fully open for international cooperation and participation. However, in the other 3 clusters, we kind of aimed to have a bit more specific targeting to Central Asian states. For example, in Cluster 5, which deals with climate, energy, and mobility, we have 5 topics targeting participation, among others, of course, but let's say participants from Central Asia are explicitly mentioned. Then we have cluster 4, about which my colleague Daniel will speak later on. There are 4 topics targeting your countries, and in cluster 3 is a bit more special because it's rather close to international cooperation, except a certain part of it, which is disaster resilient part. And there you we also have a specific target for Central Asia. I will share afterwards, if you're interested, a table which I prepared with all the topics, all the calls which are relevant specifically for Central Asia. And of course, as I said, cluster topics in cluster 1 and 6 are fully open, all of them without specific targets for you. You can participate in any of them. Now, I would like also briefly to mention that we have, of course, to safeguard our EU interests and not to be 100% fully. We always say we are fully open to international cooperation, but there always a caveat to this for very specific and special cases. For example, for actions related to the European Union strategic assets, interest, autonomy, or security, the work program may provide that participation can be limited to legal entities established only in the member states or in the member states and unassociated third countries. But we could have also a reverse. We can even limit the participation only to the member states, not even to allow to associated countries to participate, as I said, in a very exceptional cases. But this usually it doesn't concern you, except maybe in cluster 3, where I mentioned it's a little bit restricted. Because it deals with the civil security. And of course, we have a few more restrictions, which are, again, very exceptional. Sometimes also imposed on the research results. We have also restrictions for certain country under sanctions, also not related to you. And maybe I will mention our future initiatives, which are we just started. The so-called Choose Europe initiative, which was announced in April in Paris by our president, and the competitiveness compass. Choose Europe. The main elements of this initiative will include achieving a freedom of movement for knowledge and data across Europe and ensuring freedom of scientific research throughout the European research area. Of course, the bottom line of this initiative would be to welcome researchers from all over the world to come and conduct their work in Europe. So we hope that it might be interesting for your researchers too. And the competitiveness compass, it will be rather focused on different smaller initiatives, like, for example, European Innovation Act and Startup and Scaled Up Strategy, which we are hoping to advance still this year. And now, to conclude, Horizon Europe is fully open to applicants from third countries with very few exceptions. Current work program 2025 is well balanced as far as targeted international participation is concerned. And, and finally, interested researchers and research entities from non-associated countries like Uzbekistan are encouraged to seek partners to form consortium or to participate in already formed consortium and to apply. Thank you, and I will share my presentation with you after. You could also use the links in the presentation for more information If you have questions, maybe I take a few now, or we can proceed after. Do you see me now? I think I stopped sharing my screen.
I see that there is a question in the chat.
Okay, let
from
me see.
Feruz.
Could you please give
Feruz
a
is
few
asking, yes.
Yes, I just need to open. I can give you the, as I said, I can give you the list I prepared with a bit of information about the, just a second. I will give you a concrete example now. I need to open. I don't know, I cannot see it now somehow where I saved the data, but anyway, yeah, sorry. I will just briefly mention the topic. You said cluster 5, right? So cluster 5, we have, or we have climate, energy, mobility. For example, now actually the issue with cluster 5 is that there is no specific mentioning of the agreed terminology on the countries according to the World Bank, but somehow the colleagues chose the term Global South. So if you see this term under a call, it means it's open for all countries which are basically outside Europe and outside the North America and Australia. So the, for example, top call climate simulations data and knowledge for optimal support of IPCC assessment and international policy. It's open for countries from Global South. It's encouraged to those countries to participate, which is number 06D101. Another example is advancing Earth system models to increase understanding of Earth system change. And then another also related to climate, but I will share the list for easier reference. You could also find it yourself, of course, but perhaps it will be easier if I just give you the prepared list. Any other question? Perhaps later on I will stay until the end. So okay, colleagues were asking how to check whether Uzbekistan is eligible for the call. Can Uzbekistan participate as a coordinator or partner or only as a beneficiary? Now, the difference between partner and beneficiary is simply whether you will receive funding or not. As I said, entities from Uzbekistan are fully eligible for funding. So you will be basically a beneficiary if you are if you participate in a selected consortium for a certain project. So a coordinator, basically, for this role are usually experienced entities coming usually from the EU member states, sometimes okay from UK, but They were recently also member state. And this role of coordinator is basically administrative role. They are managing the whole project, coordinating, distributing the financing, distributing the tasks, and sometimes they are not even actually doing any research themselves. So the coordinator role, let's say, it's cumbersome, and the important part for you to understand is that you could participate as a beneficiary without any restrictions, usually, and without any restrictions in funding. You will be funded on the same rate as anybody coming from the EU. Her age 2020 is closed already. I suppose you meant the Horizon Europe. There are no limitations except, as I said, for example, in cluster 3, where it's about civil security. Some calls are restricted, and also some calls for example, I forgot in which cluster, but there are calls for quantum. They're also restricted, but very few, as I said, maybe, I don't know, 5 or 10 calls out of 1,000 calls. So no number of projects, no. The more, the better for you. There, for example, Israel is getting more, participating in more than almost 1,000 projects. I mean, entities from Israel so far, and the program is still 2 more years to run, 3 even, 25, 6, and 7. So no limitations.
Thank you, colleagues. If I may now, my name is Akmal. I am working for EU Delegation. Thank you very much, Kremena, for your very comprehensive presentation, and thank you for all the participants for the questions. Now we have more than 40 participants. So there's quite interest for this quite quickly organized meeting. Thank you for joining. And then I think according to the program, we will have now moving to another presentation on Horizon Europe, critical raw materials under the new work program 2025 by Mr. Daniel Chios, European Commission, Director General for Internal Market, Industry, Entrepreneurship, and SMEs. Daniel, if you can hear us, please get online, and then maybe we can come back to the general questions to Kremena at the end as well. Thank you very much. Daniel, the floor is yours. I think I saw him on the participants list. Okay. But
maybe Zora can mention a few words on the roadmap.
Hello, can you hear me?
Okay.
yes, we can hear you. Is it Daniel?
Hello. Yes, my Zoom is crashing, so I hope I will be able to run this as planned. And just in case if something blocks me, then apologies for that. I will start using the video, or let's see how that will go, and I will try to share the screen with my presentation as well. Let's see if I'm able to do this. Sorry for these technical obstacles.
So just the first one was about just introduction, I guess. Good afternoon, everybody. We are a couple of PhD students studying at University of Žilina, Slovakia now. Anyone who is interested in doing R&D within this project can contact me at this email. And then we have one comment about your presentation. Some funny boxes were like hiding your slides, but we didn't stop you. So I don't know, maybe this is just the issue with the presentation itself. And so the question is material 62, tailings and residuals from metallurgical production are eligible for this topic. This is question number 1. Material 62. It's very technical.
Yes, so it's for the strategic partnership. I would really need to read the text of the call. I don't have it in front of me, but processing and refining, that's something that could fall under the scope. But I would need to have exactly the call text in front of me, because sometimes we do put some more specific guidelines in these terms, but if the topic text doesn't mention that, then that should be okay. Yeah, that should be allowed.
Okay.
But please read carefully the text of the topic. If it mentions that it is forbidden or restricted. If it doesn't mention that clearly, then it should be eligible.
And we have the following questions from same colleague, Ayjan Samanbayeva. She's asking, do you have plans to have the same topic in 2026 if this year we will not arrive in time? And the last question from her is material 64, Central Asian Authority are eligible? So these two questions from Ayjan.
So currently we don't have yet the topics for the next year, 2026. We are working on them. I'm not able to share any details on this, but we will see. First, we will see on the results of what projects we get from this topic. And then we'll adapt, because of course we will not fund all the strategic partnership countries. So we did a pilot in 2024 with Canada and Ukraine. Now we decided to widen the scope, and after we get the evaluation results from this topic, then we will reflect later how to follow up in the future topics. And then for the second question, if you could kindly repeat it, I'm not sure if I understood.
Okay, the second question from Ayjan was materials 64. Central Asia Authority are eligible, is the question. Are the Central Asia Authority are eligible?
Yes, if you mean the countries, so Uzbekistan is eligible to participate here.
Okay. And then last question from Begzat Zakirov. Is there any chance for matchmaking with interested EU partners, specifically in CRA?
Maybe here I can reply.
Yeah, that's more Kremena maybe.
Please.
So the now we will be organizing events through actor, but after the deadline of these calls. So I'm really hoping that the Uzbekistan will manage to participate in the partnership for the raw materials, because through that partnership and our support with the matchmaking events, you may be able to actually take full benefit of this specific Horizon Europe part on the critical raw materials. We will do our best to do something earlier than September, but still August, I suppose, is also a kind of holidays period for you, as well as for Europe. So I think the more realistically speaking, the real benefit from the matchmaking for you would be for within the partnership with our assistance, of course.
To complement from my side, from DG Grow, it might be difficult indeed to do a matchmaking for this call, in that the deadline is in September. But indeed, the future option is if Uzbekistan joins this co-funded partnership, that will be a scheme that will be organizing matchmakings. So that's one option. Second option, we have the EU Raw Materials Week, usually in November each autumn. There we usually organize R&I matchmakings, or at least we have a lot of sessions dealing with R&I, where many of our R&I projects and stakeholders are there. I encourage you to come and see that. That could be interesting for you to gain the contacts. the third option is we have also our stakeholders from Europe organizing such matchmakings. For instance, the European Technology Platform on Sustainable Mineral Resources organized an online matchmaking, I think in May, where they were also open to third countries. You can also check the EIT raw materials. I think they are also working with R9 with innovation, and they also gather stakeholders. So these are maybe the platforms or the stakeholders that you may want to reach out if you're looking for partners. And yeah, and we have the strategic partnership with Uzbekistan. So under that scheme, we will be also working further on strengthening the ties on research and innovation. This could be further discussed how we could in the future of organizing some kind of events under this scheme. Thank you.
Thank you very much, colleagues. If there are more questions to Daniel and Kremena at this stage, please, we still have 5 minutes for the second presentation to start, but we can always come back to the question and answers at the end. So we'll wait maybe for a few seconds, if no more. I see there's one thing came in the chat. Okay, that's the thank you from Bigzat Zakirov. Okay, now I think we can, if you allow me, colleagues, we can move to the other presentation by Elena Volpi. She's from European Research Council, and the topic is the Horizon Europe, European Research Council, and its international dimension. Elena, if you can hear us, and you please, the floor is yours. You can, maybe Daniel, you can close your presentation.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Elena. Welcome.
Hi. I think that Mileva is going to share my presentation.
Yes, I will do that. Just a
Thank
second.
you. And thank you for inviting me in the meanwhile. I will present a bit of, I will make like a bit of introduction of what is ERC, the main features, and then some facts on what is our international cooperation dimension, and give some like a few statistics on researchers that are national from Central Asia and Uzbekistan, of course.
Мила, пак забравих как да го направя.
If there are problems, I can try to share, but let me know. Okay.
Yes, I will have to make it bigger. Just maybe you can start while I'm.
Okay, yes.
trying.
You can already go to the first slide. Yeah, so as you know, ERC is part of Horizon Europe, of Pillar 1 of Horizon Europe. And we have a budget in under Horizon Europe of 16 billion euro, which represents the 17% of the overall European Europe budget. Next. Next, please.
Kremena, I think it didn't come as a full screen now. It's not on the slideshow mode yet.
I don't know. How
don't
can I help?
see it. You don't see it. Okay, sorry. I don't know why.
Do you want me to try to share?
Can you see? Wait. Now do you see it?
We see it, but it's just a second slide. It doesn't move, and it's not the full
This
screen.
one. Okay. Wait, I will check. I will try now. Now?
Not
Say.
yet. From the beginning. Can you try from the beginning? The button says slideshow from the beginning. Yes.
You don't see. I don't know what's happening. I'm trying to, I did what I have to do. And now, do you see?
In my screen, it doesn't change. Let's see. Or perhaps, Yelena, you could try it. And then...
Yeah, maybe. It's on my screen, it says sharing, everything fine. I will stop sharing and start again.
Thank you.
Need checking. Window. Now, how is it?
Yeah.
It's nice. It's okay now. Thank you.
Okay, sorry.
Very good, very good. So I start from where I left. So these are the main principles, let's say the main features of the European Research Council. First of all, we are governed, let's say our governance structure include an independent scientific council with 22 members and the president. And this scientific council has full authority over the scientific strategy of the European Research Council. And then we have an executive agency, the ERSEA, where I work, that is dedicated to support the scientific council and to implement the work program. So the main tenets, let's say, of the ERC approach is that the only evaluation criteria is the scientific excellence, that we support individual scientists, so no consortia. We are bottom up, so we do not have thematic calls, so any scientific idea is welcome on any issue, any areas or theme in all fields of science and humanities. And we have an international peer review system in place to evaluate the proposals. And next, please. This is our scientific council. So as you can see, we have experts. These members are scientists themselves, among the top scientists in Europe, and they represent the different scientific domains. So life science, social sciences and humanities, and physical science and engineering. And then we have Maria Leptin, who is our president at the moment. Next. And then we have the agency, which is based in Brussels, and we execute the annual work program that is established by the Scientific Council. We implement the call for proposals. We provide information and support to applicants. We organize the peer review evaluations. We manage the grants. We follow up the financial aspects. We do communication activities with ERC stakeholders. Next. As I said, so in a nutshell, we fund individual researchers from all over the world with long-term grants in any field of frontier research. And this, as I said, are the three domains: life science, physical sciences and engineering, social sciences and humanities. And next. So in details, we have different types of grants. The three main grants, that what we call the main grants, are starting, advanced, and consolidator, and they are, let's say, they correspond to different stages of the researcher's career. So the starting grant are for those who are from 2 to 7 years after their PhD. The consolidator is 7 to 12 years after PhD, and the advanced are not related to a specific number of years, but are usually go to more senior researchers, because the requirements, these must be really top of the top track record for the researchers with the most breakthrough ideas. And as you see, the amount of the grants goes from 1.5 million euros to 2 for consolidators and 2.5 for advanced grant for 5 years. Then we have the synergy grants that are for group of researchers, but not consortia, meaning it could be researchers from the same university. So they are a bit more ambitious. In terms of goals, and so they are longer, 6 years, and go up to 10 million euros. And then we have the proof of concept that are smaller grants to test possible market viability of some of the grantees that have already their research financed by ERC. Next, excellence is the only evaluation criteria. And so it's excellence of the research project and excellence of the principal investigators. And these are some of the aspects of excellence: groundbreaking nature of the proposal, ambition, the feasibility as well. And the principal investigator must show to have the required intellectual capacity, creativity, and commitment. Next. So basically, but I forgot to mention that the grants, the calls are open to individuals and researchers from all over the world. But however, the condition, we are going back. The conditions are that a certain percentage of time must be spent in a host institution in Europe. So there must be the support given from a host institution in Europe, or meaning European Union member states or associated countries. And for the researcher who wins the ERC grant, there is the possibility to work on the research topic of their own choice, to have a financial autonomy for 5 years, to negotiate the best conditions of work with their host institution, to choose their own team members from anywhere in the world. And then there is portability. So if you win a grant, let's say in a host institution, and you are based in a host institution in France, you can immediately choose to move for any reason to another host institution in Europe, and the grant is yours. So the grant is portable. And to win additional funding, obviously to raise other funds because of prestige linked to an ERC grant. Next. These are some figures, but I mean, I can share the slides later if you want, but maybe the one to retain is that at the moment we are about 14,000 grantees of 93 different nationalities from about 950 research institutions in Europe, European Union associated countries. Next. So this may be more interesting for the audience today is that, as I said, anyone from anywhere in the world can apply, and there are also opportunities to facilitate researchers that come from out of Europe, like in the case of Uzbekistan. So first of all, we have the possibility to give startup funding, which is a funding on top of the ERC grant if a researcher decides to move to Europe, and now has become up to 2 million euros on top of the ERC grant. Of course, if the project requires it, like for instance, there are big costs to move a lab or other things. So this is facilitate moving to Europe to the new host institution. Also, it is important to know that the researchers can keep 50% time affiliation, can keep the affiliation to the original host institution in the home country, provided that they spend at least 50% of their working time in the host institution in Europe. They can choose team members from any countries. And as I said, they can also move within Europe with the grant. Next. And to give you some figures, for the moment, we have about 80% of all our grantees are nationals of non-European countries. So USA on the top, then Canada, China, India, Russia, etc. So about 1,200 researchers. Next. The teams are also are even more, let's say, international. The ERC teams, as you know, each project has a PI, and the PI chooses the team of about 6-7 people, it depends. And 18% of all ERC team members come from are nationals of out of Europe, and this is a bit the share within this 18%. So in absolute numbers means, for instance, that we have, I don't know, about 1,200 team members, estimated number from USA, 100 from Chile, etc. So these are the different nationalities. So it's a very international environment. Next. Then we have the synergy grants that I mentioned before, and one characteristics of the synergy grant that can be interesting for you is that one member of the synergy research group can be based in a so-called third country, so a non-European country. So the person can stay where they are in their own country and be a member of the ERC synergy group. And if you go to the next slide, please, you can see in pink the synergy grants that we have out of Europe, where we have grantees out of Europe, that in Australia, in Canada, in Chile, in Japan, in Korea, we have more, I mean, the numbers are different. For instance, in Japan, we have one grantee, ERC grantee that is in Japan, because it's a synergy grant. And this is another possibility for non-European researchers. So the next one. So coming to Central Asia, I mean, honestly, I mean, the figures are not very high for the moment. So we have basically, these are the evaluated proposals. So what I could find are the proposals that have been submitted to ERC from nationals of Central Asia country. And from 2007 to 2024, and we have a total of 14, of which 5 from Uzbekistan, not from Uzbekistan, but these are 5 nationals of Uzbekistan who are living elsewhere, who are living in Europe already, and who have submitted proposals to the ERC. But for the moment, we don't have grants, but we hope to have in the future. Next, please. Another possibility that ERC offers are the international study visits that we call a bit bureaucratically implementing arrangements, for this legal reason why we call them. So basically, these are the international initiatives where ERC creates a partnership with a similar funding agency, I mean, with a national funding agency in a partner countries outside of Europe. And the grantees of this funding agency can visit ERC teams for a few months, and so promote this scientific exchange with, and also be exposed of ERC research in Europe. And if you go to the next slide, you can see all the implementing arrangements that we have. With the last one we signed is with Thailand. There are, I think, about 12-13 countries already, and in some countries we have more than one. So as you see, the partners are national foundation, national research funding bodies. And we had, in this context, we received the visits of many researchers from these countries. And this is a capacity building and the scientific operational opportunities. Next. This is the last news on the radar. The European Commission has announced a new budget for ERC for the so-called super grants. We don't know, we are still discussing the design of these new grants, and this will be included in the new ERC work program 2026. What we know is that the European Commission is interested that ERC manage an additional budget which should provide even more incentive to outstanding researchers all over the world. And we understand that one of the objectives is to attract researchers from out of Europe.
To make some comments. And then I just invite you, if you want to have any of you, maybe just introduce yourselves and maybe to make some comments. Thank you. Okay. There's two questions actually.
I see the questions for ERC in the chat. I don't know if you see them.
Yeah, two questions just came. If I correctly understand that, individuals who defended PhD more than 7 years ago cannot apply for a starting grant at ERC. Question 2, for team members has no such restriction. It's from Mr. Alberjan Atabayev.
Yeah, I see the first is, yeah. Can I answer?
Yeah, please.
Yes, the first question, the answer is yes. So after 7 years, they should apply to consolidator call. And the team members, they go to a different, they are not selected through by ERC through a call. We only we provide a grant for an individual researcher. Then the researcher will open his own use his or her own channels online or to open job position for team members. So we are not involved in that at all.
Another question, does National Erasmus Office Uzbekistan or organizers of this meeting provide guidance for young researchers on developing and preparing project proposals? I hope colleagues from the are here. I think Mahmoud John, if you are still here, and Mrs. Aziza Karimna, please, you can take that question if you want.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Answer. And the following question was, do we need to apply for the starting grants as the team or only as an individual? Shall host university be agreed before application? It's from Mr. Muzaffar Muminov from Center of Advanced Technologies. Who would like to take that question?
I can answer. Okay, the first I think I answered before, meaning that the team members do not apply to ERC. So these are jobs that they will have to look for as they look for a job in research. I mean, and the other thing, oh my God, yes, they need the preliminary support of a host institution. So when you submit a proposal to ERC as a part of the documentation, you present a letter of support from a host institution in the European research area, let's say, so EU or associated country.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Joanna, for taking answering that. So we have another question from another colleague, Akbar Ismanjanov, who's asking, does the outcome of research should be publication or some applied result?
Does this refer to ERC? Is the question on ERC?
That was not specified, but
maybe both. Both.
Yeah.
Well, I can say that it depends on the topic, but there should be an outcome, obviously, not only a paper, but of course, if the actual paper may be the outcome, but usually there is always something applied as well.
Okay, for
And
ERC
also
it's different. Yeah. Mhm.
maybe just to mention that the members of the consortium, the individual research entities which contribute to the work of the consortium may contribute only to a certain part of the work. For example, if the project will last 5 years, your part may be lasting only 6 months, or so you may contribute to the final result of the research, but only in a certain stage of the leading to the final result. Also, for the financing part, you don't need to wait until the end of the project to get your financing. It's usually done on stages, and some often it's upfront before the research starts. Of course, not the total amount, but certain percentage.
Thank you. We have another question in the chat from Dordona. Are there any grants for humanity field? Thank you.
Okay, for ERC, yes, we have social sciences and humanities in all aspects, history, philosophy, etc. I mean, there are many. You can see our panel description on the website. And I take the opportunity to answer to my part of the previous question, because in the case of ERC, our grant doesn't foresee any deliverables. We don't have deliverables or work packages. So the idea is that we fund a brilliant idea. We don't know where this idea will lead. The idea can be excellent, but lead to nowhere. This is part of the scientific process. So it's total freedom. So we don't have an outcome that is established in the grant agreement.
And I think it's another question related to your presentation, Elena. Is there any example specific topic in social science regarding ERC? Is it all depend on how the applicant is successful to find a suitable host university in EU that is interested in the research?
I think it's a good idea to look on our published work programs and website to see because each area, like social science and humanity, include, I think, social science and humanities include 8 different, we call them thematic panels. So you can see all the areas that we cover, which are pretty articulated. And you can also find example of funded projects. So maybe you can get an idea, but in a way, I mean, it's only an example, because at the end, one has to come up with their own proposal. And as I said, there is no predetermined theme for the call.
Thank you. I think we are almost like at the end of our presentation, but we'll take another question from Mr. Muzaffar Mominov. The previous was from Begzat Zakirov. I hope you received enough, the sufficient answer. So do we still need the host university for proof of the concept projects? Maybe, I don't know, it's a general question.
Okay, the proof of concept is actually a particular grant, because it's only for researchers who already have an ERC grant. So if you have an ERC grant, then you can apply for a proof of concept to develop the market potential of your own project. So it's in that case you will have, you need to have your host institution, but in first you have to have an ERC grant.
Thank you. And then I think another question from Dordona was, could you share the website link? And then immediately Mr. Alisher Polatov shared the website. I think it's a ERC's website on grants funding innovation. And thank you for that, Alisher. Colleagues, I think we are almost at the end of our webinar or meeting, if you can call it, on the research and innovations done by the first 3 presentations today. Thank you for that. I mean, we have a quite big interest. It's 51 participants now. So I think as a conclusion, probably we can maybe give a few words to Zora or Kremena, if anyone would like to say a few words before we close on the next steps.
Maybe Zora, because she didn't
Zora.
have the chance to introduce actually the roadmap.
Please, Zora, the floor is yours if you're online. Thank you.
She is asking to be unmuted. Maybe she has the same issue I had in the beginning.
Good afternoon, everybody. I think I'm unmuted. Can you hear me?
Yes. Please.
Thank you for giving me the floor. My name is Zora Mincheva. I'm a policy officer at Directorate General for Trade to the European Commission. This is the Commission service who is leading on the implementation of the strategic partnership between the European Union and Uzbekistan on critical raw materials. Actually, today's presentation was an action which is part of the so-called roadmap and this partnership. And as we are at the very end of today's meeting, I would just like to say that in case there is an interest on the Uzbek side, we could organize a follow-up presentation with a focus on research and innovation, because research and innovation is one of the pillars of the EU-Uzbek MOU under the partnership. So I hope this is just the start of a very fruitful cooperation in the area of research and innovation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Zora. Indeed, this is a very good, I think, opportunity to share very important information and have some exchange. Already, we've seen that there's a big interest from the Uzbekistan colleagues and Uzbekistan community. So, if anyone else would like to add before we close, Kremena, Daniel, Elena, and any other colleagues from Uzbekistan, if you want to say a few words, just it's a good chance.
I would like to thank also to you to organizing this hopefully fruitful event, and that it will not be it's the first one, but not be the last. I will try to coordinate some more events as well on our side, on Horizon Europe in Uzbekistan. We'll come back to you after the summer on this. And yeah, hopefully we will see all the participants back again with more questions and more details. And of course, Horizon Europe. I realize it's complicated. Yeah. I realize it's complicated, but it's not impossible.
Yes. And I'd like to thank our colleagues from the National Erasmus Office who are always available for us to technically support such kind of meetings. And of course, our colleagues from the Ministry of Higher Education, Science and Innovation and Westminster International University in Tashkent. I don't want to name them, but they're all here. Alisher Polatov, Amijan Holov, our colleague Mahmoud Jan from the National Erasmus Office. To organize it in such a short time, it was a bit challenge, but I think we succeeded. So I think we can repeat that. We can continue that in the future. And then delegation is always available to provide support from the EU delegation side. Thank you. And then you will, as everyone have almost everyone left their emails. I think Mahmoudjan, it all can be recorded, right? As I understood.
Yes.
And for the future, for those who probably missed this, I would say webinar, we can share the link, and I think it will also serve as a good information for those who couldn't participate. So this is it from my side, and I would like to thank Mariana, who unfortunately had to leave, my colleague, and thank all the participants. I would like to thank all the participants for your interest and participation in spite of the short notice invitation. And it again confirms the very big interest from your side, which is mutual. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, colleagues. All the best.
Thank you, and until next time.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.